Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey friends, can you imagine how you'd feel living your life, the life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value for others? That's what I call living a life of significance. And I can tell you it's a very happy life. And so can my new friend, Gary Wilkins. He's my guest star for today. Hey, Gary, I'm so happy to welcome you on the Something Significant show. Please take a minute or so and tell our amazing audience what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world.
Well, Matt, what I'm doing is I'm trying to live out exactly what you just talked about, in that I work with corporate professionals who are at a turning point and know there's more to give, more to do, and just not quite sure how to get there. And so we really spend time together, really co-creating that vision of what they want to be, and then creating a simple, sustainable way to get there. And the fun part of this is that it really releases energy when people start understanding that not only can they visualize what they want to become, but they have the power to choose to get there.
Yeah, that's awesome. The second half of our lives should be the most exciting halves, folks. Okay, Gary, let's let our audience get to know you a little bit through the mathematical equation of our happy formula. And you know it, it's capacity plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with capacity. What are your practices for building your personal capacity? Physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional. In other words, Gary, what do you do on a regular basis to create the capacity you need to take good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left over to give to others?
Well, I follow what I call the perfect start. And, that's my daily practice. And I have to caveat a little bit. I'm 12 days out from surgery, so I'm not quite up early at 5, but normally I'm up at 5. And I spend some time in prayer and meditation, kind of getting my head right. I spend some time journaling just to kind of be mindful and aware of what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. And then I spend some time reading either devotional materials or other books I'm learning on. And that helps me get my mindset squared away. I have to bring in, you talk about overflow capacity. This is putting the oxygen mask on first thing in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. And so taking some time to regularly take time to think, take time to read, take time to pray. And then I move into some motion. Just hop over to the other room. We've got an elliptical trainer there, and I can jump on that and do some motion, and then come back again for just a few more minutes of planning out my day and laying out what are my 3 main goals that I'm working for today, what it is I want to accomplish. And then I go through, if I'm having several important calls, I'll take a moment to do a mental model of how I want each of those calls to go. And that way, at the end of that perfect start time, I've fed myself, I've prepared, and I'm ready to go serve.
I love that. So talk a little bit, the audience has heard me discuss this, but I'd like to hear your points of view. There are certain capacity builders like physical fitness and financial fitness and mental fitness that are earthly, that create earthly energy, which is finite. When you use it, you have to replenish it.
Right.
And then there's spiritual energy, like prayer and meditation and falling in love. And with spiritual energy, it's infinite. The more you use, the more you have. Right. So talk about the difference between earthly energy, which is important, and spiritual energy, and how you see those two in the world, in your world.
Well, I see them as a constant feedback loop, in that the stronger, more mental, more aware I am, my spiritual relationship with my Savior I'm more alert. And as I'm spending time and being aligned with what He is guiding me in, I'm also saying that then I can approach my reading with joy, my physical fitness with seeing that as a blessing of taking care of this body that previously I might not have done quite as good a job at but working through that and understanding then it's the financial aspects. It directs my money flows, my giving, and that type of thing. And so, but they're not separate. They're interrelated. But you're right. But the finite does need recharge. The infinite, it just needs to be recognized, and it just keeps coming in.
Love that. Okay, before moving on to purpose, let's discuss my very favorite capacity building concept called Kaizen.
Mhm.
This is the Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. It means there's always something you can do better tomorrow than you did today. And I love it because it always keeps me moving forward in some way every single day. And I think you know a lot about this from your background with Six Sigma and all that. So Gary, how do you Kaizen your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Well, I think, you talk about Six Sigma and Kaizen, and, we go from the many to the vital few. And so I think probably one of the biggest things on Kaizen is to do less, but focus on less. And then small steps compounded make a big difference. How I do that, within the Ziegler philosophy, the be, do, have philosophy that I've learned and teach. There's a concept here. It's called, transforming your life one simple choice at a time. And we build that around 7 areas in our life where we're fundamentally the mantra is to get rid of one small habit, one bad habit, and create a new habit. And so my Kaizen is by looking at what habit am I getting rid of this week and replacing it with a good habit. And if you do one habit a week, at the end of a year, you've got 52 new habits and gotten rid of 52 bad habits.
Yeah, it's getting rid of what doesn't serve you. It's one of the things I say is the fastest way to get happier, fastest way is to stop hanging out with people or in places or doing things that make you feel bad. It's not always easy, but it's really simple. So let's dive into that second element of the happy formula. And it seems to me that major life transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation, addictions, disease, death, some disaster that shakes a life. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share a transformational process that I've used to discover my purpose using inspiration. So how about you, Gary? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
I was winding up my career, had been in IT for almost 4 decades. And it was a snowy morning up in Minnesota, and I had to travel downtown. This is pre-Zoom days. I had to head downtown, and it was 4 o'clock, so I was going to have to shovel snow and everything. And I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Do you really want to do this?" And I answered no. And I said, "Well, okay." Well, yeah, I obviously went to the meeting, but what next? And I think that moment when I asked myself, "Do you really want to do this?" That was my turning point where I said, I've accomplished most of what I wanted to do in my career. I've done some wonderful things, had a fabulous career, but yet I knew that I had a message to help people create a vision for their future and then start to actually make the choices to make it happen. And that was the point where I decided that that was what I needed to start doing today. And that's been the beginning of quite a transformation in my life. But it was a simple question. Are you sure you want to keep doing this?
What year was that?
That was in 2018. Fall.
2018.
Yep.
Okay, you were still employed.
Yep. And then
but you had the thought that you wanted to do something different.
Right.
So how long from that day till you quit your job and started doing the different thing?
May of 2019, so what, 6 months.
Okay.
We had bought a house, sold a house, retired, and moved. And we both laugh is that we're so glad we don't remember much of that time period. But it was,
that was the trauma. See, so there was devastation.
There was a little bit, yeah. Yeah, when we moved, we downsized, and when we first got here, we felt like we were living in witness protection, and just trying to find our bearings here. But I think we call it trauma, but I don't think it was trauma from the perspective. It was clarity, in that we knew that we needed to move. That was the move, was to help take care of father-in-law, and he had just turned 90, and we said, "Hey, we need to be here." But also that allowed me to say, okay, I'm no longer in corporate, but yet I have the ability to still reach out to my friends and colleagues across my career and help them understand is that you can have a reawakening. Like we say, the last half of our life is, now we have some resources. Let's go create that stuff that we've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I asked one guy, and I got the funniest response was that I said, "So what else did you want to do when you wanted to be an astronaut?" And that's the kind of
Right.
joy that we can get out of that.
That's the magic. So one quick thing, and then we'll move along. But during that transition, when all the doubt comes in, you say, "Oh, I've made a mistake," or "I'm not going to be able to get this thing off the ground," or "I'm going to run out of money before." How do you work through the ego telling you that the heart can't do what it wants to do?
That's a good question. It's a daily battle. It's an hourly battle, but it starts back with the clarity of a vision that is so clear that it compels you, it draws you. And I took time really looking at what it is I wanted to do. And I had been talking to my colleagues over the last, prior year, and sharing with them and asking questions and seeing their eyes light up when I helped them start to co-create, their visions. And so I think the belief in the fact that this thought process, this philosophy, this approach works, and lives are changed. And when you know that what you're doing can make a difference in someone's life, can turn them, turn their lights on, these other things just become bumps.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And by the way, the question about what else did you want to do when you wanted to be an astronaut? Now you can be old and still go to space.
Yeah,
right?
I saw that. I just need another extra 250K, I guess.
There you go. Okay, so let's take a quick commercial break, Gary, because I want to tell our audience about a surefire and guaranteed way that they can keep all of their New Year's resolutions in 2022 and in every year to follow. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live, and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WYTV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again. And we're back. And this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm Matt Gersper. Hey friends, we've created our e-course to help you create the tools that you need to make the right resolutions for you, and then bring them into your life to stay. And I'll personally guarantee it. If you'll give us your complete attention for about 4 hours a week for the next 8 weeks, then I'll guarantee that you can bring any resolution you want to life in your life and keep it as long as it serves you. And if we don't live up to my promise, you'll get all your money back, 100% guaranteed. That's my promise to you. But for now, let's get back to my special guest star, Gary Wilkins. Gary, I recently discovered an article in the science behind, it's called The Science Behind the Power of Giving, and it was on lifescience.com. And it says the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on this planet. It concludes that there's compelling scientific data that supports the notion that giving of one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose and transcending difficulties and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I updated the formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. What do you think, Gary? From your own life experience, have you found that giving your time and talents and treasures has been a pathway for discovering your purpose and transcending difficulties that you've faced and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Yeah, I have to agree with that wholeheartedly. The aspect of giving, well, you contrast it, a closed hand versus an open hand. And when you're not giving and you're hanging on to things, that's when you start to realize that life is sand, or you're trying to squeeze Jello. It all goes away anyway. So, but when you open up and you provide, you give your time, and giving time doesn't mean I'm talking and pushing. I'm constantly teaching. Sometimes giving time is just listening. Most of my people just want to be heard, and sometimes the biggest gift I can do is intentionally listening and asking questions and drawing them out and letting them be heard, and then allowing that to allow them to make changes in their life, and then that creates an abundance that I can also provide support to many organizations that I know are also providing that. So it's a legacy type of thing, supporting others that will support others also.
Yeah, so that's great. And that's the science of it. Science says that's how it works, and I agree. And I've experienced the wonderful feeling that comes from that fourth element of significance, which is, as you were just talking about, doing work that creates value for others. And I've experienced firsthand how the magic of life comes not from getting more and taking, but giving more. But there's more to it than that. It's not just the giving that's magical. So Gary, what I've been exploring and learning is when you're giving from living in your purpose, that's where the real magic lies. So tell us, Gary, how does it make you feel when you're giving to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, and a fellow Zig Ziglar coach says, Gary inspired me to know it's never too late to find my life purpose. And a client adds, with Gary's mentoring, I gained confidence in the possibility that I still have unique and powerful ways to contribute to the world. Another one says, Gary did a phenomenal job inspiring and teaching my audience about how to create a purposeful life. He both shifted mindsets and shared practical tools that people can use right away. And one last one. He says, Gary listens deeply, provides powerful insights, and has a great sense of humor. I love his methodology for charting my retirement journey. So tell us, Gary, how does all that make you feel?
Well, it humbles the heck out of me to think that I'm being allowed to have that kind of an influence on these clients, and seeing their eyes light up, their hopes expand, their vision become more and more compelling. And it allows me to realize that I am fulfilling my purpose by helping others get what they want. And that's the driving mantra. You know, you can get everything you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. That's a famous Zig Ziglar quote, but it's also the way that he lived and that way he's taught us to live. And by helping others, that's the thing that lights me up as well.
Now, give us a quick contrast between when you are doing work in your IT career and giving to others and giving to your corporation and succeeding and having success. And that created some level of joy and some level of happiness within you. And the difference between this thing that is more purposeful and more uniquely Gary Wilkin, the difference for let's say a similar level of success, right?
Right. I think on the surface, there's a similar level, like you said, a similar level of success, and I would receive kudos and accolades and good jobs and glad you did it.
Attaboys.
Attaboys, yeah. But they were for a project that I had not selected. It wasn't my driving force, but I bought onto it and caught the vision and did that. And so from that perspective, it was very fulfilling. Like I said, I had a wonderful career and worked with some great people. And the difference is now when I work with someone, it's because we've made a connection. We have formed a relationship, and together we co-create what changes are going to happen. And that means that I'm invested and they're invested in this relationship and going on. That's where the joy comes. The idea of this makes a difference.
And it's not working from the intellect, it's work from the heart.
Yeah.
And it can be coaching, the retired community into the next round. It could be working on cars. It could be playing music. It could be volunteering down at a school. It can be whatever your purpose is, because once you find it, and folks, why I keep harping on this, once you find it, it lights your life up.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And you're right. As I help these folks, you're right. Some of these folks said, I want to play golf really well, or I want to play table tennis, or I want to go start a nonprofit, and that becomes their light. Yep. And that's what drags them out of the bed before the alarm clock ever goes off. So that's it. That's it.
Yeah. So purpose and giving make this great big happy circle. Giving your time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose. And giving from living in your purpose brings profound joy to your life. So giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. So to more properly reflect the exponential power of the happy formula, I've got to tweak it, Gary, just a little bit more.
Again.
Capacity times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you, Gary?
Oh, it really does, because the happiness that I'm hearing is not only inward focus, but outward focus, and helping others continue to attain their happiness that they can then pass on to theirs as well. So it's this iteration, this legacy of happiness. And so when you're doing that, that's the exponential aspect of happiness.
That's it. And so that the guy who wants to become a good golfer, if all he does is go out there and focus on himself and golf for the rest of his days, he's going to have some happiness. But if he goes out there and he figures out how to do that and also lift other people, whether it's to be caddies or whether it's to be golfers or whether it's to write, whatever it is associated with his love of golf, if he adds a giving component to it, it just changes the whole game.
Correct. Yeah. When he's able to not only be good, but to share and help others, and also just being fun to be around. Yeah. And you got to have that. I mean,
we need some of that these days.
Yeah, you'd be really good at it and you're not fun to be around. That doesn't help.
That's right. Okay, good stuff. Well, let's wrap things up with the lightning round. I love to read a few of my very favorite quotes. And you mentioned one earlier I didn't use it for today's show, about the empty hand and giving. I've got a great quote for that. I can't quite bring it up, so I'm not going to use it.
Okay.
So you give us the very first thing that comes to mind, because after all, Gary, it's called a lightning round.
Okay.
So this one's from Zig Ziglar. I think you know the guy. Hope is born when you understand this. You have the power to make things better or worse, and the choice is yours.
I say amen. Yeah, the power of choice, we all have it. It's free to use. And like I said, when you understand that you have the choice to make your life worse or make your life better, that's when you can really expand on the hope. So yes.
Awesome. From Rumi, if you put your heart against the earth with me in serving every creature, our beloved will enter you from our sacred realm, and we will be so happy.
I think the "we" is the part out of that quote that I catch on the most, is that being happy by yourself doesn't do any good. It's the "we" and the sharing of that and understanding how that travels back and forth.
Very good. This one's from my past. Don't know where it came from. Once you get where you want to be, you're not there anymore.
Yeah, every goal, you always try to shoot a little farther than you can see, but when they get there, you can see more, you can see farther. And so that's why as we grow and progress, it's important to know that we're on a journey. We're not heading toward we're not getting to a destination, we're on a journey. And so yeah, the more we grow, the more we see.
A corollary to that is Billy Joel paraphrasing Socrates, the more I learn, the less I know.
Yeah.
Let's response to that one.
Well, it's true. It's, it's called the humbling growth of knowledge, where you think as you go through your 20s and your 30s, you're this little hotshot that knows everything. And then someday you wake up and you realize, I don't know half of what this guy has already forgotten. And I think the true growth in knowledge is when you understand that you're always a learner.
Yeah. Good. This is one of my own. It's in the doing of things that are most important to you that you'll find true happiness.
If you tie important to purpose, because if you're doing what's important, you're doing it on purpose. And when you're doing purpose, that's where the most return and the most joy comes from.
Awesome. And this is the show anchor quote from Goff. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah. What's the old argument? The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The other best time is now. The time to start is now, and because we don't have guarantees of tomorrows. And so the time to do it is now. Like you say, there's boldness there, there's creativity, there's things that come when you make a choice and you make a decision to move forward. Now is the time to do it.
Awesome. And now, folks, it's your turn to play along with us. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Gary Wilkins, please share some love with our determined broadcast team by donating what you can to WYTV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Gary, I love your mission to help retirement-aged professionals increase their hope by going from where they are to where they want to be, and then showing them how you can help them get there. And I admire how you focus them on shifting their mindset from success to significance in the second half of their life, and experience the pure joy that comes from helping others to be, do, and have more than they ever thought possible. That's so cool and so perfectly aligned with our happy formula. And I'm so happy that you've shared your powerful voice on our show today. Would you please take a minute or so and share any parting remarks that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Well, all I can say is that when we expand our hope and we have a vision, our life changes. And not only does our life change, but we can help others change as well. If you're at a point when you are trying to say, I need to change, and how do I do it? I would love to come alongside and help and serve you as well, so that you can experience the joy and the power of growing into a vision.
Very good. Wonderful, Gary. Thank you. I also want to thank WYTV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Gary and reaching folks just like you ready to create your own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life, and Happy Living. Remember, folks, I'll donate $100 for each and every enrollment using promo code WYTV7. So tell all your friends too. Go to happyliving.com, select eCourse, and enroll together as a group. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Gary Wilkins. Find him, friend him, go to his website to read his blog, and sign up for a free experience the power of choice session with Gary. And ask questions or leave comments too. It's all available at myretirementmission.com. That's all one word, myretirementmission.com. And from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be happy. And speaking of happy, go to happyliving.com right now and take the happy quiz. Because when you measure something, you focus your attention on it. And measurement inspires change, measurement inspires learning, and measurement inspires improvement. And speaking of improvement, I hope Gary's got you really motivated and feeling super confident and bold too, ready to improve your life, ready to bring to life your unique and distinct reason for being on this planet, because that's how you're going to make your mark of significance on the world. And the world needs you now more than ever. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is a Something Significant show. And we're out.